blood is on the seat. Wouldn't that mean that he was stabbed in the stomach, right? Oh, I can't look at the court record while I'm in the court record. Silly me. Could it be that he was laying down and then the blood spilled here and then someone adjusted him to sit up or something? Because if he was stabbed in the stomach, the blood wouldn't, at the very least, it wouldn't pool this much, because then it would get caught on his legs and stuff, right? No? Am I wrong, I think? This seat looks reasonably soft, but it's actually rather hard when you sit on it. And only just wide enough for two gentlemen to sit side by side, really. Of course, an English gentlewoman would be dressed in such finery. It would be quite impossible for her to climb up to the roof deck, so she would have to be seated in here. Oh, girls can't fucking sit at the rooftop to be like, hey, look at the view. Fucking damn it. A woman in a kimono would have the same problem. Women's clothes are very impractical, aren't they? I'm glad you guys understand. So progressive in your thinking. It's quite a large skylight, isn't it? Yes, quite large enough to afford a good view of the cabin from the roof deck. And there doesn't appear to be a handle or a catch of any description. So I suppose it can't be open from inside the cabin, at least. But it can be open from the outside. The fact that you mention it, it can be open from the outside. I didn't look at this one. Ah, that's a poster for the great exhibition that's due to start 6 months from now. Oh, is this the same thing? There's a lot of focus. Okay, we okay. Shh. This is the door. That's a door. It's a window. I guess that's it, right? I've looked at everything. Handle. This seat has a handle, it seems. Oh! Oh, that makes sense. Storage? This looks like all sorts of equipment that might be needed to keep the omnibus running. Oh, it's not storage? Oh, well, it's storage. I thought it was storage for the passengers. Feeding tubs, tools to repair wheels, blankets, horseshoeing tools. So it's a storage compartment for the coachman to keep his things, it seems. Should you put such should you put like such an attractive looking handle to put for things that you store like for yourself? If it's not for the passengers, why does it, it shouldn't, okay, whatever, I don't know. There doesn't seem to be any space for passengers to store their luggage, that's for sure. Well, I don't imagine it would be very convenient for that purpose anyway. What's in here? This looks like all sorts of equipment that might be, oh, whoops. Speaking of fucking horseshoeing tools, I've seen a lot of videos on Reddit recently of like people tending to horses and their hooves, just like pulling off the shoe horse and like just digging into the hoof itself and like clearing out like things that need to be cleared out. Like it's supposed to be intentionally cleared out, but it literally looks like you're just digging into a horse's foot and just like fucking scraping the shit out of it. It's like kind of satisfying, but at the same time it's kind of like it makes me think that I'm gonna just see blood spurt out, and I'm sure the horses don't hate it. Like I'm sure like the people who are doing it know what they're doing, but it's like at the same time it's very nerve-wracking watching it happen. You should go check it out. I guess that's it. I guess we'll leave. Have you seen enough? Let's step back outside then. It's so quiet. They should have some sort of music playing here. Or is it because of the fact that during the court area there was no music and that's why there's no music here? It's very solemn. Ladder? So men have to they climb up from the back and get to the seats. Did I click on the seats already? Did I ever look at this? So this is the roof deck of the omnibus. Oh, you must have a wonderful view up here. Sorry. Okay. So I guess that's it. Right? That's it, right? Or sign? Nope. God damn it. I thought it was a sign. Can I? Oh, this is new. And there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin. So I'm sure the witnesses would have been able to see quite clearly. That's not good for us. Oh, okay. Thanks. I guess that's it. Examine the gloves. Look like a pair of gloves. This is definitely blood, isn't it? Not the most pleasant sight to be confronted with on our first day in London. Well, nothing will come of grumbling now. No. By the way, is Mr. McGilded right-handed? Yes, I believe so. He was toying with the coin in his right hand a little earlier. Pity. If only he had been left-handed. I think blood on either gloves would be fairly incriminating, really. Right hand. Push to the the man's stomach to kind of stop the blood or something like that. Could have just probably actually helped. Photograph of the victim. Yes, I see. You magnifying glass into someone's glasses. You double see. I guess there's nothing to examine here. It's just a... Okay, well, he's missing a button. He's missing a button. So he stabbed him in the stomach, right? So there's no blood. There's blood that could potentially seep out from the side, but you wouldn't see the blood on the seat. So that must mean he was stabbed, like, laying down, and then someone propped him up, right? We Ryan guessing that? And then the autopsy report. Trice-fired Mason. Stabbed once in the abdomen with a knife while journeying in an omnibus. Died due to internal hemorrhaging resulting from the trauma. So he died from... I was gonna say blood loss, but internal hemorrhaging. I guess that's not necessarily blood loss. Okay. And then we have a can. That's not a can, it's an armband. I thought that was a can. An armband I inherited from Kazuma. It identifies the wearer as a defense lawyer throughout the Empire of Japan. Oh. So their idea of a badge is just this giant armband, huh? What do we have here? We don't have Kazuma in our people. How am I supposed to remember him? Susato is 16. Male Strongheart is 52. Magnus Gilded is younger than him. Really? I thought this man was like in his 60s or 70s or something. He looks old. Defendant in this case, he's an incredibly wealthy philanthropist with a wonderful reputation in London. I'm here to defend him and attest to what it is to become a lawyer. 32. He looks young. He's cute. He looks like if he was dead as a vampire and he kidnapped me, I'd be like, sure. Prosecutor known as the Reaper Bailey. Supposedly the souls of those he prosecutes are entirely damned one way or another. In like what sense though? Victim, skilled but poor brickmaker, lives in the East End. 54. Okay. Beppo is 62. Driver of the omnibus on which a murder took place is an eyewitness to the incident. Oh, this man is fucking shifty-eyed. Look at that. Gentleman who works at the city bank who witnessed the incident from the scene on the roof deck of the omnibus. An apprentice milliner who witnessed the incident. Lady First. Why is his name Lady First? 21. Alright, we stalled enough. Lotus continue with... I think I read this already. It's fine. I don't fucking... Oh my god. Just thinking about... I wish I could do a voice that suits him. Pray don't expect us Nipponese story to understand the intricacies of a British course examination right. Alright, my first cross-examination in a British court. His lips didn't go. Focus, Ryunosuke. Focus. I guess you can't have your lips going in front of a gentleman. Ooh. Stained glass. That's pretty. Okay. It was the last of the Barcelona, so I had a few customers. I remembered well. I just remembered everything. I already forgot what they all said. Yes, I think it was some time after 10, wasn't it? Oh, yes, sir. That's right, yes. Ever so cold it was, sir. Freezing, in fact. You got anything to react to? Okay. And you had 4 passengers on board at the time. Is that correct? Oh, yes, that's right, sir. Not all traveling in the same parts of the bus. Of course, though, no. So if there's anything that, if they react to anything, is it gonna show an exclamation mark? I think that's what happened when we did this the first time. But of course, the fucking last case that we did, we weren't in court, so fucking heck. Alright. And there were no other passengers when the incident took place. No one alight. No one alight, for example. A light? You're quite right with that, sir. No other passengers like that. No, none. Man, I wish it was cold here. So nobody fled the scene of the crime then? I have to say, the boss insists on running. It does every evening, the last bus of the day. I do wonder sometimes if it's altogether worthwhile. Yes, sorry to say. What do you mean by that? Well, what with it being so cold and everything, and only making 20 pence on the run, you see. Yes, I spend that much at the pub on the way home just trying to warm up again. I'm sorry to hear that, dude. The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the bus. Hear me out. There's someone who did the deed hid in the storage. That's why no one saw anything. I don't know. And he saw them through the skylight in the roof of the carriage? That's right. When you sit up on the top deck, the window's right there at your feet. Why'd you even sit up there if it's so cold? Doesn't make any sense. There was a lamp on the inside, so I had a pretty good view. The two of them were wearing hats, so I couldn't make out their faces. That person on the left is supposed to be fucking McGilded? That's not McGilded. That's a man in a black suit and he's clearly tall. This doesn't make any sense, and he's wearing fucking white gloves. That doesn't make, hello? Can we use this as evidence? But there's not a shred of doubt in my mind that it was Mr. McGilded. That doesn't look like Mr. McGilded at all. That doesn't make any sense. Ryunosuke, call him out on his memory. How can you be so sure? Well, how can I put it politely? Mr. McGilded is a gentleman of rather small stature. I couldn't have mistaken him for anyone else. Let's not forget that when the vehicle came to a halt, the only people inside the enclosed cabin were the deceased Mr. Mason and Mr. McGilded. Unless they hid Mr. McGilded in the storage because he's small, right? There's no room for doubt here. I really wish there was. Then out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife right into his guts. God damn your stupid memory. You actually saw the exact moment it happened? Didn't I already testified to that? Are fair, dinkum, hard-working city bankers not considered trustworthy these days? I don't know, you out here taking people's money. Oh, no, I didn't mean that. This is no good. I've really got his back up. Perhaps you could just tell us what you saw in a little more detail? If that's... My lord! Oh, I forgot they were there. Juror number 3. What's the meaning of this? My mind's made up, my lord. Completely and utterly made up. What? Made up about what? I don't like the stinking rich. I never have. They always up to something or other that they shouldn't be. Every one of them. And that little leprechaun of a man is no exception. Well, he can't fool me. What? First of all, what? There's no point wasting time listening to any more of this. That's my opinion on the matter anyway. That is precisely what I was about to say. What? Wait a minute. As the foreman of the jury, it's my duty to set a good example to my fellow jurors. What is this? What is this flickering of, what is this fucking flipping of the goddamn fire? First of all, highly dangerous. What if you miss? What the? What's happening here? Let me see. Ah yes, it seems that's how the members of the jury give their verdicts. With fire? Apparently, yes. White for innocent and black for guilty. As the 6 members of the jury make up their minds about the case, one by one, they each cast a ball of fire into the great scales of justice, as we saw a moment ago. This seems very dangerous to do. Why are y'all out here fucking throwing fire into... God forbid it fucking hits the judge. So if those enormous scales fall completely to the black side, does that mean... Let's do our very best to make sure that doesn't happen. Ugh, now I'm even more worried than I was before. Wait, there's like high stakes then. What can fucking get a juror to fucking be like, nah, son? Ah, fuck. Very well. The court acknowledges the change in the jury's stance. Counsel for the defense, please continue with this cross-examination. This is a nightmare. Well, here, so, surely this is not like a time thing, right? This isn't like like I can just progress with how I've been doing things, and as long as the story, if I'm hitting the right answers, then it'll just progress. Like this, the jurors giving their answers is like set in stone in the sense that like none of them are gonna flip based on how I choose to do things, right? I don't want this to be more complicated than it can be. I'm scared, but I'm just gonna continue on and doing whatever I was doing before, was pressing everything. That's right, he stabbed him. I screamed, I couldn't help it. He stabbed him, you say? And you were sitting up on the roof deck, were you? I also love that he's saying, Mata! He's speaking Japanese in a court full of English people, not Chinglish people. Yes, that's right, sir. I was up on the roof seats. I remember seeing the little gent sitting next to the fellow that was stabbed. Who is little? That man on the left is not little! His stature is like almost a fucking, it's like, it doesn't make any sense. I don't get what they're talking about. Why am I? I've been thinking about a new hat design, you see. So I was just gazing absent-mindedly around. But then I happened to look down through the skylight. It was sticking right out from his belly. That huge great knife. A grim sight indeed. That didn't help me at all. The jury looks like they're even more convinced my client did it than they were before. Well, can they vote more than once? That appears to have made everyone even more dubious that Mr. McGilded is telling the truth. If only we had some evidence to counter their suspicions. Mr. First, whatever, fuck. Oh, yes, sir? Is this the knife you saw? Oh, good grief. Yes, that's it. The very one, sir. Is that? Yes, Counsel. This is the blade that was driven into the victim's belly like a stake through the heart. That is a blade of considerable size, Counsel. It is, and furthermore, the scabbard is emblazoned prominently with a certain initial. The letters M, which seems oddly familiar. Please, no. M for Magnus, perhaps, or McGilded, possibly. Take your pick. It seems this particular big name in London made a magnificent mistake. I was about to say mistake. Oh no! But there were M's everywhere. Yes, like in Mason. Idiotic! This blade is far too extravagant for a poor brick maker to have owned. No, this weapon of murder almost certainly belongs to the accused. What if it was a W? Not conclusive, but certainly compelling, Counsel. Largest knife that was found lodged in the victim's abdomen. Its quality and fancy ornamentation suggests it must be quite valuable. My lord, if you'll forgive the interruption. Door number 2. Go on. Mr. McGilded is a pillar of society and a gentleman's word should be sacrosanct. Sure. However, those of us in service know we must accept hard truths. Wait! What are you about to do? Dispose of the rubbish. This seems... It's like efficient in one way because they don't have to turn around to light, but at the same time, why? No! I don't wish to cause offense, but I do like to eradicate all traces of filth and grime. Uh-oh. Am I in trouble? I have painstakingly typed every word uttered here today and cross-referenced all the facts. As such, I am now in a position to draw the only logical conclusion. Yabai! Not again! That's 4 of 6 jury members who have proposed a guilty verdict. There are only 2 left. We've had it. Every time I press these witnesses for more information, I just make the situation worse. Nevertheless, what we need more than anything at the moment is more information. We're still very much in the dark. I suppose I'll just have to keep pressing the witnesses, knowing that more sparks may well fly. We mustn't give up hope that we'll uncover something that will give us a way to fight back. But... Alright, I'll keep trying. I can't give up. I just need to keep calm and listen to the witnesses' statements again. Well... You gonna penalize me for wanting to fucking get more information? Well, fuck you, game! What exactly did you see? Oh, well, sir, that would be the passenger, sir. Yes, collapsed on the floor he was. Floor? He was in this chair, though. And by passengers, obviously you are referring to the victim, Mr. Mason, the brickmaker. And the passenger had that knife in his hand, like this. By the other passenger, obviously you are referring to the accused, Mr. Magnus McGillicuddy. And then he plunged it down like this, stabbing the other passengers in the belly. What? How did you see it? Weren't you fucking riding the carriage? My lord, I wish to speak. Yes, what? They're both the same voice as your store number 5. Do I take it that you too? As the master of the London Guild of Coachmen, the idea of a murder being committed in one of the city's carriages is utterly abhorrent to me. It wouldn't be right to make a decision before hearing all the facts, though, I said to myself. Well, but I've heard enough now. That horse has bolted, as they say. No, please, just keep an open mind and a little look. Yep, now silver blades, the finish is in sight. Well, Beppo is a long-standing member of the guild, and I trust what the man says. Oh, thank you, sir. You're too kind, sir. This is too unkind, sir. Which now means that 5 jurors agreed to condemn this man. Y'all are bitches. Grandma? Don't? Grandma? Madam, juror number 6.
Yes, dear. What can I do for you?
You have heard the testimonies of the witnesses in the stand.
Oh, yes, I certainly have. Still got my hearing, you know.
Then pray tell, why are you not to announce your leaving?
Well, dear, the thing is, I'm a creature of habit, me. I always go to the park at around this time of day and sit on a nice bench and get on with my knitting. There are a lovely little park just near where I live. McGilded Park, it's called. The gentleman donated it to the city, you know, to put a smile on the Londoner's faces, he says. I can't imagine such a fine young gentleman would have had it in him to take another man's life.
He's always doing wonderful things for the city. Oh.
That's right, a man like that wouldn't stab someone, surely. Mother, may we go to the McGilded Public Library later and borrow some more books?
How many Londoners live with their heads in the clouds? Do you people not know what kind of a man Magnus McGilded really is? Sorry, I'm really just trying to figure out what kind of a man he is. The philanthropist Magnus McGilded has enough wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly. But where did all that wealth come from? Your client is a Shylock, sir, and one with the very darkest of souls. What?
Down the grows!
What? No, don't. Leave him alone. McGilded lends money to an extortionate rate of interest, so his victims had no hopes of repaying him. When they default, he takes possessions of everything they own. He is a vulture that preys on the weak.
I've never heard of any mention of that before.
Your faculties haven't deserted you, I'm sure, madam. So has this thought not crossed your mind? Would a man wealthy enough to buy London in its entirety not have a carriage of his own? What possible reason could this man have had to make use of a public omnibus service? You're not saying that... The victim, a poor brickmaker, had next to nothing to his name, save considerable financial liability. It will come as no surprise that this creditor was the accused, Magnus McGilded. But let it also be known that the very day Mr. Mason was killed was the final repayment date for his debts. Lord gracious! The brickmaker was destitute. He had lost his house. He had not a shilling with which to repay his debts. And in the end, this pitiful soul had the very last thing he owned taken from him, his life. By the merciless philanthropist pretender, Magnus McGilded. Yo, if he had the money and he wanted to take someone out, he would have hired someone. Why would he do it himself? That doesn't make any sense. I don't believe it.
If I might add something briefly. Miss Susato? You claimed that the victim had been lent money by Mr. McGildy. But where is the evidence to support your claim?
Was that bottle always there? No. There he goes. I was like, that wasn't there before. Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hallowed chalice in a court of law. Ah, there it is! Lord Van Zeek's hallowed chalice. Whatever fuck.
How can this be considered acceptable?
You know. He's hot. But I find myself in unexpectedly good humor. I had heard ladies from the Far East could show great courage, but I didn't expect to experience it myself. Wow, ladies speak up. Oh my god, so courageous!
As judicial assistant to the defense, I am simply doing my job.
What a pity that your display of courage is in vain. This is a debtor's ledger, which details all monies loaned by the accused. You will find the victim's name clearly recorded inside.
Oh!
Allow me to present this ledger as evidence. And pray forgive the discourtesy of raising my chalice and a toast to the enigmatic East at the same time. Oh, fuck. God damn it. I'm sorry, Van Zeek. A marvelous toast, counsel. I will gladly accept as new evidence. Debtor's ledger has been entered into the court record. Catalog of people who borrowed money from the defendant at a high rate of interest includes a victim who owed 20 guineas. How much is 20 guineas? Oh yes, 20 guineas. The victim owed a considerable sum. And the accused made quite certain he had ample whatever.
Well, it would seem I've had the wool pulled over my eyes.
Regrettably, madam, that is the modus operandi of the accused.
And it's such a pretty little park, too. What a scoundrel.
Oh boy.
Still, maybe it's all for the best. Wait a minute! Let's think about this a little more before... I don't stand for nonsense!
Did I already lose? I don't get...
That was it. The last juror's decision.
Or, well, they said it was like them and also the judge's decision, right? So it's not quite finished yet. I think that's what they said.
According to this encyclopedia of British law, when all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended, and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. That's what it says here.
The final verdict? It's over then.
Oh! There's a footnote, though.
A footnote?
However, the defense.
All 6 members of the jury are now in agreement in the case. Allow me to convey my respect for your swift and righteous decision. According to the laws of this country, I will now conclude the trial by delivering my final verdict. I trust there are no objections. Ryunosuke, you wanna...
Mrs. Sato, just tell me one thing. Yes?
You were in the middle of saying something before? The footnote in your encyclopedia of British law. However, the defense... What did it say next?
Oh yes, of course. One moment.
Why did you fucking put away your book before you...
When all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. Then the footnote says, however, the defense has the right to demand a summation examination of the jurors at this point.
Summation examination of the jurors? As in we can examine the jurors? Get up! Get up! We're not done! A summation? Examination? Idiot! Idiot! A summation examination. From which century has that tome you have there been resurrected? Are you saying that's old? Judging from the binding, I would say that book is at least 50 years old. Any modern text on British law wouldn't even give such an antiquated procedure imagine. It's a relic, long forgotten, and certainly no longer practiced. Oh, well then that's awkward. So you're out of luck.
Oh.
Justice is on the... What even is it, Mrs. Sato? This so-called summation examination.
Oh, one moment, and I'll read about it.
You would demand the right to a procedure before you even understand what it entails. Typical Nipponese.
Alright, Mr. Naruhodo, I think I understand. It seems that under this procedure, we'd be able to appeal to the members of the jury.
To do what, exactly?
Appeal to them to change their leaning and reverse their decisions. And it says here that, if successful, the proceedings of the trial must be resumed.
Make them reverse their decisions. Yes, in times gone by, but barristers would use a summation examination to attempt to influence the jury's decisions. But that procedure became something of a formality with no practical benefits really, so it rather fell out of use. But it hasn't been written out though, right? We could still do it, yeah?
I wonder why.
Because it was devoid of purpose. Changing just one member of the jury's mind would be hard enough, let alone several. No self-respecting defense barrister would even assert his right to try in this day and age. Defense barrister? Well?
Still, I don't see any mention of the procedure actually being formally revoked.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that although it may be antiquated and largely forgotten, it isn't yet extinct. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo?
A summation examination? Our last possible option. Do we assert our right to carry it out, or admit defeat? Do it, ya ho! We barely even got this trial started. The defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination, my lord. Idiotic! London is the capital city of the most powerful nation on earth. We have a duty to the world to exemplify the very high standard of judicial procedures. Summation examinations are an embarrassment that should remain buried. I'm trying to do his voice based on his objection, but...
But if it's alright, it's alright! I believe it could prove vital to this trial!
The defense's petition is perfectly valid. The court will proceed with the summation examination. This madness. Foreman, are you and the remainder of the jury ready? Well, I'm not. And there is no mention of this in the letter I received, you see, so... All members of the jury will be asked to explain on what grounds they have reached their decisions. On what ground? Oh, on one ground? Whatever, fucking hell, I don't care. You must all justify your decisions and explain why you believe the defendant to be guilty. Well, my lord, you're rather putting us on the spot.
This is most irregular. No mention was made of this before. I don't really hold with all this justifying logic.
That seems to have thrown the jurors off.
It seems none of them have experienced this before.
Alright then, the summation examination. A defense procedure no practicing lawyers attempted for years, is it? Well, just maybe. It might be the opportunity we've been looking for, to turn this trial around. So be it then. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court hereby calls upon you to state the grounds on which you find the defendant, Magnus Begilden, guilty of this most serious crime.